Okay.
My case is older than 10 years, so the threat is gone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So why are my documents still sealed? So eventually, hopefully, we can get these documents unsealed if enough people file the Freedom of Information Act to have the documents unsealed. So you'll really see this car was rolled. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So you'll really see Meech's roll.
I wasn't going to address this because I'm not trying to let nobody trick me off the street. But I never folded, never told, never will.
Demetrius Fleury has been locked up since 2005, and how are you my unindicted, he's listed in my paperwork, homie, as my unindicted co-conspirator serving 30 years at FCI Lompoc in California. How are you in my paperwork, man, and you are in bed with a government informant that testified in court that she cooperated and set your nigga up for 30-year partnership? You know, a lot of people, man, is thinking that this thing is made up, or this thing is fake, or that I have an axe to grind, you feel me?
Right.
But I'm in here with a 27-year sentence based on Demetrius Fleury, as you all know as Big Meech, and Tammy Cowins, known in the paperwork as CS1.
Right.
Confidential source 1. So what Big Meech did was call a third-party cooperation. So Tammy Cowins signed up to be a DEA informant to give Demetrius Fleury a time cut, plain and simple.
Yo, what it is, people, we is back. Another day on Keep It G News. Before we get in this video, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel because we keeping it all the way real. That's all. You know, if you like real, you fuck with Keep It G News because that's the only way we know how to be. And right now, what's going on the internet, y'all, is a lot of people spitting out falsehoods. A lot of people speaking on situations or speaking about situations they don't have no history, no prior knowledge, none of that. Like they jumping way out their element, all the way out their league. And they misleading thousands, if not millions of people by doing it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, y'all, I'm talking about this whole Big Meech situation with CUFFY, Tammy Cowins, and Tari White. Now, a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago by now, I did a video explaining to people like, y'all, everybody talking about Big Meech and CUFFY and Tammy. Why is people forgetting about Tari White? Because at first, the narrative was that Tammy was working with the federal government before CUFFY got set up. Before she met Tari White. And before she met Meech. Yo, but that's not necessarily true. And I exposed that a couple weeks ago when I think I did like 2-3 videos exposing the fact that, y'all, Big Meech is in Tari White's paperwork. Now, if you're not familiar with Tari White is an Atlanta drug dealer.
It's believed that Tari White grew up in an Atlanta housing project. But when FBI and GBI agents arrested him last night, he was living here, a sprawling $200,000 mansion in Jonesboro. The 27-year-old was in the process of renovating his home, which features an outdoor swimming pool, a full-length basketball court, and more.
Had a media room where there were 24 TV sets on one wall hooked to a satellite dish, and you could hit a button and all 24 TVs would come on.
Agents seized the home and 3 cars which belonged to White, including this $110,000 Rolls-Royce, which was paid for in cash. But there was more to be found inside. $47,000 cash and a machine to count the money. Thousands in gold jewelry and mink coats. A small catch of ammunition and weapons, including a loaded Uzi semi-automatic pistol. It was a lavish lifestyle that authorities say White financed by supplying millions of dollars in crack cocaine to dealers in Atlanta's housing projects.
He's probably a notch or two down from those cartels at the top of the pyramid.
The money that comes from the sale and distribution of narcotics is tremendous. I think we just hit the tip of the iceberg here.
Although yesterday's arrest is significant, the GBI acknowledges that it will likely have only a minimal effect on the availability of crack cocaine in the housing projects.
Well, he's not currently an Atlanta drug dealer, but he was back in the day. He was getting a lot of money back in the day. Now, once he got arrested through the hands of Tammy Cowins and I think Big Meech, the reason why I say Big Meech, because like I said, Big Meech is in his paperwork on numerous occasions. And when people got to understand, y'all, what this whole Big Meech situation is, y'all, the feds did an awesome job of trying to protect him as a confidential source. Because, wouldn't you? Somebody that was a multi-level trafficker, that know all the high rollers, we talking about state to state to state, well, at least in St. Louis, Detroit, and Atlanta, that would be somebody that you want to protect if they have information, what they call open source information. You understand? If that's a person that can give you pertinent information, you don't want their name in any documents because you want to be able to use this person forever, as long as you can use them. You know, milk the cow. You understand? If you see some lemons, squeeze them. And that's what the feds was doing with Meech, but they was doing it through Tammy Cowins. Now, Ty White is actually a rat, y'all. Told on the guy that he got caught in the indictment with. And the question always come up, well, why Meech ain't get a time cut? Now, what you got to understand through the paperwork with this whole Ty White situation is, though he was being investigated by Tammy Cowins and Agent Jack Harvey at the time, Ty White got arrested and got caught in a whole separate investigation by a whole separate DA force or DA agency, because the guy that he was dealing with, I don't know if it was his business partner, I don't know if that was his connect, I don't know who he was. Got his name, I'm going to put it in the video. But he was being investigated as well. And when they came down on him, they happened to stumble across Ty White. And I don't know how this worked, but it could be a situation where the feds fucked them. You know, this is the federal government. This is how they operate. We've seen them do it to Rilo, where he gave information, led to an arrest, but because of a conflict of interest, you don't get no time cut. You don't get no deal. But Meech did get time cuts. And I know people who say, well, everything lined up. But if you know anything about Meech, when he was arrested, yo, Meech caught a lot of tickets. Meech was the head of a drug trafficking organization. Meech got caught with phones and knives in the joint. And that normally disqualifies you for a time cut. And even if things do line up, we don't know what else went into, you know, what was contributing factors that led to the time cut. The judge could have thought about some of the things that he was involved in his cooperation and said, all right, I'll take a year off. I'll take another year off, because at the end of the day, he had 30 and only did what? 22 at max, 19 in custody, 2 years, maybe 3 years on home confinement. Y'all seen in that paperwork I just showed y'all that Meech and Tammy was cool way before, or at least a few years before Tammy got with Ty. And if you go back to Tammy Cowins and her testimony, she talked about a time where when she was on her way to meet Meech, Ty White was in the car. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I just wanted to throw that in there because I see people starting to pick up on that, and we've been talking about that for at least 2 weeks now, and I think it's legitimate. And the reason why I think it's legitimate, y'all, is because why is Big Meech in so many people's paperwork? Like, what's really going on? Big Meech was arrested in 2005, caught his time in 2008. Why is he in Ty White paperwork in 2009? Why is he in Cuffy paperwork in 2013 or 14 or whatever year Cuffy got arrested? It don't make sense. But like I said, that's not the reason for this conversation. The reason for this conversation is because people are questioning Cuffy. Is Cuffy a rat? What's going on with Cuffy? And the reason why, because it wasn't like this before, yesterday, I think, or the day before. But the reason why everybody's questioning Cuffy is because Cuffy did an interview with, I think the guy's name is Sean G, and salute to y'all. Cuffy did an interview with him, and it left people with questions. You know, it seemed like at the time, Cuffy got choked up. He ain't know what to say. And I'm gonna let you see it for yourself.
Now, Cuff, man, I know you spent a lot of money on them lawyers and that Frank's hearing. How much did you spend on legal fees altogether, man?
About $150,000.
Did you pay for all 4 of y'all's or just yours?
Just mine.
Okay, and then the other dudes, the Rush brothers and Gibbs, they handle their own.
Of course they did.
Okay. Now, you know, niggas is saying, Cuff, you know, and that we talking about the comment section niggas with fake profiles and whatnot. They don't matter, but they wondering like, you know, are you a rat, or did you cooperate in any kind of way? Can you clean that up for us, man?
Well, you know, the documents speak for themselves. I find that that's funny, homie. Yeah. I mean, you can check my record, homie. Just tell them check my record, homie.
Yeah.
You know, Sean, niggas rock with me from Maine to Spain, my nigga. And when you mention my name, nigga, you talking about gold, nigga. You feel me?
When did you find out Tammy was no good? At the Franks hearing?
No, as soon as the sting went down, I found out that she was no good. I didn't know his role. So immediately immediately after the sting, my attorney sent Meech correspondence saying, yo, Cuff need to holler at you. Your friend Tammy put him in a real bad jam with the police. I heard nothing back from him. My lawyers, he don't respond, period. And so we've been trying to contact this nigga all during the Franks hearing and everything, homie. No response.
As far as the case with Tammy and her cooperating, did that case fall apart and did you get sentenced with that, or you down on the gun joints?
The case never fell apart. It never fell apart. The case was in trouble. So what the government did was supersede me. If you look through the documents, you'll see the word superseding indictment. That just means to add on. So they indicted me on 2 homicides. So the only way that the government would even have jurisdiction is if the drugs charge was still there. It's called the predicate. So the predicate is what triggers the 924.
What's the 924, Cuff?
It's a gun charge.
Okay.
924C, 924J, that's what I have.
Okay.
Based on the drug trafficking, based on the Meech and Tammy drug conspiracy.
Okay. Now what about the homicide joints?
So they dropped the homicide joint in exchange for me taking 2 gun charges. That's the 924C and the 924J, yo.
Let me ask you this, Cuff. Do you think did they have the wiretaps that they got based on Tammy and Meech putting you in touch with Tammy? Was there discussion on the wiretaps about the guns and the homicides and whatnot? Do you know?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Because I was thinking that, you know, they couldn't. The reason they didn't throw out the wiretaps, they said because they had probable cause, but it might have been some information on there. So if they throw all of the wiretaps out, you go home the next day.
I go.
Now, for a lot of people, if you never really been involved in a major indictment or a major criminal enterprise or just a major investigation, you would think, what is he there to hide? You know, he already caught his time. But, like I say, salute to Sean G, but I got to call him out. Those lines of questioning, or that line of questioning, was dead wrong. So people might wonder, why you say he did wrong? Cuffy speaking on everything else. So I'm going to tell you, Cuffy can speak on this Tammy Cowins situation because it's dead. It's nothing they can do with the information. It's done in a graveyard, buried at 6 feet deep. That case is over. He's freely able to speak because the information came from fruit from a poisonous tree. They can't do anything with it. So he can openly speak about this whole Big Meech situation with Tammy and all that, everything that, you know, was going on with that situation. But Sean G asked him about his case in his federal indictment where wiretaps was used. The biggest discrepancy, or what a lot of people is trying to say what this whole Cuffy situation with Meech is, well, Cuffy didn't get arrested off the information that Tammy Cowins gave, which is true. But before I get there, I'm moving too fast. People don't even really understand what Cuffy is even arrested for. Now, Cuffy have done multiple interviews and say he was arrested for 2 guns, but what people don't know, if you don't look at the paperwork, I think it's a 922G or 922C, Cuffy is arrested for the murders. Cuffy is arrested for the guns that's connected to the murders. Now, it's not a first-degree murder charge, but he is still arrested for the murders. So he always say, yeah, I got charged with 2 guns that was connected to the crime or connected to the murder. And that's what he did, you know, to be honest. But All those guys pled guilty. And Cuffy was actually the last person to plead. So it's not typical that the last person to plead is the person that snitches. You know, normally the person that plead first is the person that's going to testify on others. That didn't happen with Cuffy case. And then none of them guys get a whole bunch. They all got basically around the same amount of years. But before I get too far deep, you know, I found an article that details the whole Cuffy situation. Even the part where Tammy come into play, Agent Keith Cromer come into play. 2 St. Louis men have pled guilty regarding their role in a deadly drug gang and now faces at least 15 years in prison. The plea hearings of Timothy Lamont Rush, 53, and Andre Alfonso Rush, 54, were not on the public docket last week. The case involves the murder of one man accused of cooperating with law enforcement and another killed because the co-conspirators thought authorities couldn't use evidence linked to him if he was dead. Plea agreements obtained Friday by the Post-Dispatch say Timothy Rush pled guilty in U.S. District Court to 4 felonies: conspiracy to distribute 5 kilograms or more of cocaine, conspiracy to distribute more than 1 kilogram of heroin, and attempting to possess with intent to distribute both drugs. He will face at least 15 years in prison when sentenced later this year. Andre Rush pled guilty to 3 charges: conspiracy to distribute 5 kilograms or more of cocaine, conspiracy to distribute more than 1 kilogram of heroin, and a gun charge linked to the 2 deaths. Both sides in his case have agreed to recommend 25 years in prison. The plea agreement of both men say they were involved in the drug trafficking ring that brought heroin, cocaine, meth, and other drugs to the St. Louis area from 2009 to 2015. That ring was run by Dionne L. Cuffy Gatling, who was also a co-defendant in their case, the plea says. Both Andre and Timothy Rush dealt drugs and stored them for the ring, their pleas say. Those pleas list various drug dealing activities and 2 murders. Gatling drove Andre Rush and 2 other men to a St. Louis clinic on April 5, 2010, where Rush pointed out Theodis Howard. Andre Rush's plea says the 2 other men fatally shot Howard, 41, according to the plea. Gatling arranged the murders because Howard cooperated with authorities in the drug prosecution of Gatling's brother, Dion Jawani Gatling, who died of an asthma attack in prison. The plea says Howard was in a halfway house after his release from prison. In February 2013, Gatling met with someone in Atlanta who he thought was linked to a drug cartel and arranged for the delivery of 2 kilos of heroin. "It's my town. I can do whatever I want to do." He boasted about the drugs he distributed, saying he specialized in cocaine. On February 7, 2013, Timothy Rush and a 4th co-defendant, Lorenzo Gibbs, swapped a Toyota Camry for a Cadillac Escalade that they believed contained the heroin in a hidden compartment, the police says. As Rush was returning from the meeting in Memphis, Tennessee, a Missouri Highway Patrol trooper stopped him on Interstate 55. Drug Enforcement Administration agents seized the purported drugs. Gatling next tried to arrange the delivery of 15 kilos of cocaine, but Gibbs and Timothy Rush were both arrested at the meeting site in unincorporated South St. Louis County. After the co-conspirators became aware of the federal investigation, Andre Rush fatally shot Terrence Morgan, 41, on May 2, 2013, in an alley in St. Louis Fox Park neighborhood. Gatling thought federal investigators had wiretapped Morgan's phone and couldn't use those recordings in the court if Morgan was dead. Gatling and Gibbs, both 50, have pled not guilty. The 4 men were indicted nearly 5 years ago, but their cases had been delayed by a DEA sex scandal in Atlanta that defense lawyers said should result in evidence in the St. Louis case being tossed out of court. In a series of hearings in late 2016 and early 2017, and in court documents, defense lawyers accused the former DEA supervisor in Atlanta of having an affair with the confidential informer who helped set up Gatling. The supervisor, Keith Cromer, denied having sex with the informer, but admitted that the relationship violated DEA policies prohibiting more than an arm's length relationship with sources. Cromer also denied falsifying reports to justify a total of $212,000 in payments. Although finding that Cromer's testimony was not entirely credible, U.S. Magistrate Judge Charlie Padmore-Mensah ruled that the defense had failed to prove that any government agent or any informant acting as a government agent deliberately or recklessly included a false statement in an affidavit that led to a wiretap that led to Gatling's indictment. DA agents in St. Louis have not been accused of misconduct in the case. They were aware of Gatling from other investigations and corroborated the information provided by the informer, the ruling says. That article sounds very familiar to what Cuffy was saying. And now you get to see what actually happened in the case. So, though Cuffy was being investigated by Tammy and Agent Cromer, he was also being investigated through that investigation that was out of Atlanta. You know, because if you in Atlanta or you in New York and you get some information on another person from another state, you are obligated. At least it's, you know, protocol. It's good sportsmanship, for lack of better words. You know, it's good gamesmanship that you notify the people that's in that state, the law enforcement that's in that state or in that city or in that town, however you want to call it. So the investigation started in Atlanta through Tammy and Big Meech. But once they notified St. Louis was already looking into Cuffy from previous investigations. Not saying that it was one currently going on now. But once they got alerted to what was going on in Atlanta, they started investigating. So what happened at court, y'all, is when Cuffy tried to get the wiretaps thrown out because of the corruption that was going on in Atlanta, the judge said, hold up. Now, you know, it is some discrepancies. But in St. Louis, they ain't make no mistakes. It ain't no error in their case. So, all right, this case thrown out. The case with Meech is thrown out. Even though that is the case that started the investigation, we're going to charge you with what we heard on these wiretaps. Because we heard on these wiretaps, this information came from St. Louis. So when Cuffy said Meech got me set up, he did. Because if it wasn't for what was going on in Atlanta with Tammy Cowins and Meech, Cuffy would have never got caught in that situation in St. Louis. And the reason why he couldn't talk on it is because what kind of question was that? You know, they can reopen investigations. They can go through them wiretaps again and see what else was said. Like, you don't want to, he got a break, 27 years, plead out. But you see with his plea came with stipulations that he can appeal. And I have seen cases where the feds will, you know, they'll do things if they feel like it. You understand? Like, I know they ain't really giving niggas no bones. But I always talk about a guy from my city, YGG Tate, who had 6 murder for hires, and he copped out to 25 years. Only pled guilty to paying somebody to commit a murder. 25 years. Similar to what they saying Cuffy did, but it was 2 murders. Now, I don't know the details of the extensiveness in that investigation. I don't know what they heard on them wiretaps. But they got some type of information, but all those guys pled guilty. And that's how it's supposed to go. Similar to what happened with Lucci. All those guys pled guilty. Nobody told. Nobody had to testify. We all going to plead guilty to our role in this investigation. That's not snitching. It's only snitching when everybody plead guilty and somebody try and go to trial. And now the people that pled guilty got to testify on the ones at trial. But I did this video just to kill a narrative that Cuffy lying and he making up things and Meech ain't get him arrested, because Meech did get him arrested. And I know people want to be fans of Meech and people want to believe in magic, yo, but the proof is in the pudding, yo. It's all there. That article and what Cuffy said in all his interviews line up 100%. That's what happened. And y'all see that the investigation took them 5 years to get sentenced because of what was going on in Atlanta. 5 years. Cuffy got arrested in 2013. They didn't catch their time until 2019. But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments. Like I said, I just had to put this video out there because a lot of people just speaking and it's like they just talking. They're not really giving them real information. I don't know if they're trying to put on the show. I don't know if they're being paid. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're out there league. But if you want real, authentic news and a real, authentic point of view when it comes down to these breakdowns of criminal cases, go to somebody that's been through something that can give you substantial information, y'all, because his blog is on this YouTube channel, on this new YouTube platform, misleading thousands, if not millions, and they doing it daily. And then you had people come over here and they challenge us when they look where they getting their source of their information from. And then they building their perception off the information that they're giving, but they're getting bad information. If I was Cuffy, I'd have hung up on Sean G too. You understand? Why are we asking about my case? You can look it up. We all play it out. Nobody told. Nobody told. At least not to my knowledge. At least not to what I seen. But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments. It's another day of Keep It G News, and I'm out.